Chapter 25. 1,000 small lights helped lay Ray to rest that night in the bayou. Lewis played softly as fireflies from all over came to pay their respects. Tiana and Naveen were there too when the clouds parted and starlight sparkled in the sky. Everyone looked up. There in the sky, the evening star, Ray's Evangeline, was shining brightly, and right beside her was a new star no one had ever seen before. A huge grin came over Lewis's tear-stained face. Tiana and Naveen held each other close. Ray and his Evangeline were together at last. Then, under a grand canopy of Spanish moss, all the creatures of the bayou gathered for the wedding of Tiana and her frog prince. The bride wore a lovely leaf on her head as she sat on a lily pad next to her adoring groom. Mama Odie presided over the ceremony with juju draped around her neck. And so, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you frog and wife, Mama Odie said. She leaned toward Prince Naveen. Get to it, she said. Give your lovely bride some sugar. Mama Odie began to laugh. Ooh, this is going to be good. Prince Naveen kissed Tiana and poof, they disappeared in a swirl of sparkling green dust. When the air cleared, Tiana and Prince Naveen looked at each other in amazement. Tiana was wearing a shimmering green wedding dress with a crown of flowers in her hair, and Prince Naveen looked dashing in a royal vest and sash. They were both human again. Mama Odie was still laughing. Like I told you, kissing a princess breaks the spell. Once you became my wife, Naveen said, that made you a princess, Tiana exclaimed. You just kissed yourself a princess. And I'm about to do it again, Naveen said as the crowd cheered. The official royal wedding was held in New Orleans' largest cathedral. This time, the guests were all human, including Charlotte, Big Daddy, and the King and Queen of Maldonia. Eudora watched as her daughter walked down the aisle in the most beautiful wedding gown New Orleans had ever seen. Princess Tiana and Prince Naveen exited the cathedral through a grand battalion of saluting Maldonian guards. The happy couple stepped into a horse-drawn carriage as Tiana threw her bouquet into the crowd. Charlotte, of course, caught it. Princess Tiana purchased the sugar mill the next day. Then, over the next few months, she and Naveen worked hard to transform it into the glamorous restaurant of her dreams. Tiana perfected every delicious recipe, from the spicy gumbo to the fresh beignets. And if that weren't enough, the restaurant had a stage with a big brass jazz band that featured Lewis, the only trumpet-playing alligator in the city. The night Tiana's restaurant opened, the new princess happily greeted her first guests. Then she approached the table where Eudora was seated with the King and Queen of Maldonia. Eudora was beaming with pride and love. So were Naveen's parents. I hope you enjoyed the gumbo, Tiana said as she hugged her mother. I missed the mushrooms myself, Prince Naveen said enthusiastically. Charlotte eagerly took to the dance floor with a young man dressed in full royal finery. Who would have thought that the prince would have a younger brother? She exclaimed. How old did you say you were? 6.5, the young prince answered. Charlotte thought for a moment and then shrugged her shoulders happily. Well, I've waited this long, and she was willing to wait a few more years to marry this young prince. Tiana turned to Prince Naveen and held out her hand to dance. The prince smiled and waltzed her up to the rooftop. A ring of fireflies circled around them, and under the twinkling light of the two evening stars, Prince Naveen and Princess Tiana danced on top of New Orleans' finest new restaurant, aptly named Tiana's Palace. Tiana's dream of owning a restaurant had finally come true, but now she had even more. She had everything she needed, the love of family and friends, and it had all happened because she had remembered what was important, just as her daddy had said so many years before.